What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Today, we're kicking off a new series, and y'all know I'm a man of the people. And as I was doing Mercury through signs, I was getting a lot of requests for other series, Lilith, the North Node, and I will oblige. Now, here's the thing, though, guys, about certain placements, and I'm definitely a teacher who's all about, let me give you a little guidance and you go figure the rest out yourself, But within astrology, readings definitely are beneficial, at times. And when you need certain understanding on certain placements, I think it's beneficial to get a reading because it's like a story. It's like a story, right? And when we get to certain placements, like the North Node and the South Node, it really works in accordance with the whole chart. So for me to do individualized series like on the North Node and the South Node, first of all, I have to do them, me personally, I want to do them together. If you're going to talk about, the North Node in this sign or in this house, you always got to talk about the opposite. So for those of you who don't know, the North Node and the South Node represents, the North Node represents where we're going, where we're ascending to, okay? I kind of like to think of it as a secondary ascendant. They call the some call the ascendant a secondary sun. I like to think of the North Node as a secondary ascendant because it represents a large portion of what you're ascending to. And then the South Node, or Ketu, is always 180 degrees opposite, okay? And these are known as shadow planets. So they're not like physical bodies that we can with a telescope see, but the effects of these planetary energies are very much so prevalent. So, I want to do a little intro video here, on the North Node and the South Node. So, in my assessment and looking at North Node energy or Rahu energy, it's quite, I would say, obsessive. It's obsessive in the fact that you're really reminded that this is what you're here to do. So when you look at a person's North Node or their Rahu, you'll see that, despite whatever they show, this person is willing to do a lot in order to fulfill that purpose, okay? And when the North Node comes into contact with other planets, it gives it a very, very interesting pull. All right, it changes the energy. Like I said, it's a bit obsessive. So if you have somebody with their North Node conjunct Venus, this is going to be someone highly, attached towards the things of their Venus placement in that house. Okay, so I like to think of Rahu as like an amplifier. It amplifies the energy of that house, the energy of that sign, and whatever planet it is sitting with, okay? But I also look at it as like a trickster, right? Because it'll lead you to do things that you don't necessarily want to do, but you have an impulse to do. So, in some capacity, Rahu has to be tamed, right? Because if you have a North Node in the 7th house, you may become overly obsessed about, partnerships in general. You can be that clingy ass friend. You can be that clingy ass partner, that over aggressive partner. All right? And so it's a very, very interesting energy. And it's quite eccentric. It's quite eccentric. When I think of it, it gives me like it kind of makes me think of Uranus in a way, because it's just different. It's different, and it becomes very interesting when it comes into contact with other planets. So a good way to look at your North Node or your Rahu is to check its aspects, to especially check those conjunctions, right? But the sign is very important because ultimately the sign determines who's ruling that planet, okay? And Rahu wants to mold himself in the image of that planet, okay? So if you have a Rahu in Aries, it's going to be very Martian-like, okay? But at the same time, this is where we get to this point in astrology, guys, where we see that like the house and the signs are very much like one and the same, all right? But like I said, when it comes to really breaking down these parts of the chart, it's very good to get a reading to understand the overall picture or overall story being told. Then we have the south node. So if your Rahu's in the first house, your south node is going to be in the 7th house. If your north node is in Gemini, your south node is going to be in Sagittarius. And I love the saying, you got to know where you've been to know where you're going. So karmically, the south node shows us what we've mastered, what we understood, what we find comfort in. Okay? And more times than not, we revert back to the south node and the things of that house. And, this is just that unconscious part of us. Okay? And what we'll see is that when we cling to this, or when we try to play to the south node more than the north node, because the thing with change is uncomfortable. Okay? So a lot of times, trust me, I have a north node in Capricorn. The shit, like, I'm 26 now, so it's getting better. It's getting better. But definitely, like, playing up to your north node sometimes is like, fuck. But when you really embrace it, you see things open up. So, the nodes are a cool point in the chart because it really, really adds depth to the story of, who we are and what we're here to achieve. So, south node or Ketu is where you've been, right? Kind of what you know already, what you should not have to worry about, right? But where you should amplify more towards. So, if you have like a south node in Libra, that shows like, yo, you understand the dynamics of people. You've lived, an incarnation into where you probably enjoyed a successful partnership, where you're part of a group and, you feel the need to be cooperative and stuff like that. But what the universe is saying to you is, who are you? Who are you without people? We know, people are always going to be there, but we need you to define yourself. Okay? So it's always the ebb and flow of opposites. And the most important thing to do, like I said, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable it feels, is to embrace that north node. Okay? So I've had a lot of requests, to do this series. We're going to get into it. I just wanted to give a little intro here. I'm doing readings specifically for your nodes. Okay? If you're interested, just feel free to email me and inquire. But yeah, we're going to get into this new series. I'm going to try to do, basically, this is how I want you guys to held in your mind. When we start off with Rahu, a north node in the first house, we're going to talk about Ketu and the south node in the 7th house. But we're also going to blend the sign and the house together. Okay? So keep in mind, the sign will be the expression, the house will be the experiences, but ultimately we'll see that they coincide. Alright? So, this is my episode for today. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to email me if you need to ask any questions, inquire about a reading. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to do so as well. Until next time, peace.